Welcome back to the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
I'm Rory Farrell.
And who's the special guest in the middle today?
Do I say it?
Yes, you say it. You say it.
Devin Dinofa, partner with TCS Group. And that's who I am.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I know you're like in between, you're bouncing around meetings. You got a big thing going on tonight. And
We saw you in the hallway. We're like, get over here.
Yeah. But I'll let Rory kind of jump into the beer, and then we'll get into you.
Yeah, picked this up on the way here. Wrong crowd out of like Westchester-ish area. This is our second podcast in a row, so I'm like, let's do something on the lighter side. So this is a Dub C style Pilsner, which doesn't mean anything. It's just Westchester style Pilsner. All it is a light Pilsner, German style. Hop profile is the Hallertauer Blanc, which is a German hop. It's going to give a little like melony flavor to it, melony nose to it. So we don't have cups, so because Mike forgot cups.
Dude, I'll never forget cups again.
You got to rep the
I'm just saying, from a beer snob point of view, you get a better nose on it if you're drinking out of a cup. So we'll see how it goes.
Typically, we split one beer between three people. We'll like pour glasses. And
I was about to say, what do you pass the fuck?
Oh, no, dude. Yeah, but today we have to drink.
This is Mike's fault.
3 separate beers because I forgot the glasses. I'm like, God damn it, dude.
Great. So you guys are going to be hammered today. And
I'm going to be sleeping here tonight, guys.
I'll prep it up for a client appreciation event. It looks like.
Yeah, we'll come through there a little,
all tuned up.
Pre-gamed.
Yeah, nice and dry, crisp. So
yeah, nice.
It's not a bad 4.1.
This is actually a good one for me, man, because I don't like the big hop. Sorry.
You can sit back, just bring the mic.
Yeah.
I don't like the strong hoppy ones. I'm more of a light.
You wouldn't have liked the last podcast.
Yeah.
No, this one's nice and light, like a dry, like almost like an American lager. It's German, but it's light, dry, 4.1%.
Are you German?
I'm not.
Okay.
Irish as hell, dude.
Rory Patrick Farrell.
Yeah.
Can't get more Irish than that. I don't.
Come on, dude. Your name.
I know,
Rory,
man. I know.
Oh yeah, Rory Mac.
It was a quick side story. My buddies, his wife texted him. He's like, "Oh, Rory's getting divorced," and he's like, "Rory Farrell?" And she's like, "No, McElroy." Apparently, he had just filed for divorce, and he's like, "Oh, Jesus, man! I thought you were saying Rory's getting divorced."
Like your friend Rory.
But I think he just filed for divorce like recently. I'm not a golfer. I don't know, but.
I mean, I don't follow his life, but
I don't either. But we were following his life so that he could bet on it.
Yeah,
that's why they were following that news.
We got the big golfer over there in the corner. He'll be on next.
Oh yeah.
You
know, is he
filing?
They're done. All right. So they were using that information to decide whether they're going to bet on him.
Yeah. There you go.
Up, so.
Yeah, so I'd skip out on that bet. But besides that, so Devin, obviously, we know each other through. I mean, more people than I realized we know each other through. I mean, Sean Colin, Ed Rogers, a lot of those people in the Philly Masterminds networking group, and now I'm a part of your networking group, the Harvest community. So kind of give us a little bit about your background. Like, where are you from? How'd you get started in the real estate game, and how'd you come up to become who you are today? I mean, you're a very, very successful realtor, and you're kind of killing it, man. So if you can,
this is the part of the show where we butter up our guests. But
yeah.
All right. So, so I, from half my life in Philadelphia up until high school, where I moved to Maple Shade. So my parents pretty much found the closest town to Philly, and moved us to Maple Shade. Yep. And I was all right. So let's get into my story a little bit here. So I was in high school. I always wanted to play, sports. I always wanted to play college football, all that good stuff, and. At first, my goal was to go to college to play football. And when I moved over here, unfortunately, I moved to the worst football town in all of New Jersey. Oh, so really? I came from Frankfurt Boys Club, where we used to whoop ass every year, bro. I used to have championship jackets left and right. We never lost. And then I moved to a town where it was just the high school football team was a disaster. And, if I lost, I was crying, right?
Yeah.
And it was like brutal. And then I come to this town and I'm like, holy shit, man, these guys and everybody's just cool with it, right? So I was like, all right, I got to adapt to this. So then started playing football, became sophomore year, became an all-star, then junior year all-star. New coaching staff comes in senior year. And I'm just making this very short. So heading into my senior year, I'm getting college letters. I'm like, all right, I want to go play college football as a cornerback. Now, who knows how successful I would have been as a 5'8" white cornerback. But who knows? You never know, dude. We got our Eagles got some white wide receivers and quarterbacks coming in, I think.
For sure.
So, regardless, new coaching staff comes in. And, you know, they are just riding my ass. They're trying to make a name for themselves. I was the captain. And now the version of myself that I am now, you know, I realized that I should have never gave them a reason to ride my ass as a captain. I should have led by example, and I should have never been in a situation to have been told to try harder or do this or do that. But this is just a case in point of you can never get too comfortable and everybody's replaceable, right? And so senior year comes, you know, captain, letters, all that good stuff. And the new coaching staff comes in, and this is before even the first game even came. And, you know, they're just up my ass, and I was a hothead at this point. And one of these double session drills, I did not finish first going, you know, we're doing like up and back, just sprint drills. Keep in mind, I was a running back. I was a white running back, and the reality was the other guys were faster than me, but I didn't come in first. But the reality was I also wasn't trying. So the coach, you're not finished first, Devin. You need to be finished at first. The whole team is doing up downs. And at that point, I was just furious because it was just getting to me that the way that this new regime was trying to lead was to be up my ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was just catching on to that. And then finished first, and under my breath, I said, "Are you effing happy now?" I didn't say it loud, but sure enough, one of the coaches were like, "What did you say?" I'm like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Coaches
You
have
heard
ears
this."
for stuff like that.
And
they know.
he was like, "Get off the field." So grabbed my helmet, threw my helmet off, and walked off the field. Next thing you know, I find out, you know, they're like, "Dude, they're saying you're kicked off the team." And I'm like, "No way am I kicked off the team. Like, there's no way." Right. And sure enough, they kicked me off the team. And I was like, you know, what do I got to do to get back on? I reached my head coach, was like, "Dude, you just got to apologize to all the coaches." And they still didn't let me back on.
Your senior year.
Yeah, my senior
Make an
year,
example
dude.
out of you.
Yeah, what a bunch of assholes.
But
That's
that, you know what?
crazy.
Listen, man, that is, I don't know what it was, but I always learned things the hard way. And I'm a faith guy now, so I understand the way God has taken me through paths. And now when you look back, I'm a big firm believer of Steve Jobs' quote, "You can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I now see the whole plan of how it's unfolded to where I'm at now. So at that point, I was like, all right, I always knew I wanted to live a big life. I come from a great family, but for the most part, like we were always just like getting by. You know what I mean? It was like never had anybody in my family make six figures, and it was always like when we used to go and travel to New Jersey, see these neighborhoods. Like my mom always like, "Man, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer to live." It's always a doctor or lawyer. So I have a shirt says doctor or lawyer, and at the bottom entrepreneur. Doctor and lawyer crossed out, bottom's entrepreneur, because that represents the idea of entrepreneurship. And like, man, like.
Yeah.
There is a way to live a big life financially and achieve these big goals financially without having to be a doctor or a lawyer. Sure. The reality was also is I didn't have the grades to go to college. So I was like, all right, what is the next thing that I could do to where there's a big future for me? I can make a lot of money and also be happy. And at that time, I moved up in a restaurant industry called Carrabba's. Mm-hmm. And I started off as a busboy working through high school. And then I was like, you know what? I don't need a college degree, and I can be a GM and make six figures here. The owner of the restaurant, I had a great relationship. He lived in Marlton. I always wanted to live in Marlton because when I played football in Frankfurt, every now and then we used to travel to Jersey and play football in Marlton. I was like, man, this place looks incredible. I never even seen neighborhoods that look like this shit from. So
come from Philly.
That was always a thing. I said, you know what? I want to live in Marlton. So I was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move up in the restaurant ranks, and I don't need a college degree. And that's what I did. And I was, because of how I operate, it's like, I was like, what is the first thing I need to do? I need to be a kitchen manager. So I reached out to my kitchen manager. I was like, dude, I want to work for free. I don't care if there's not a position. I want to be a kitchen manager. And I know that I need to be a kitchen manager first. I'm willing to come here for free and learn this stuff so when a position opens, I can climb quicker. He's like, dude, you cannot work for free. Like, we got to pay you something. So I don't even know what I made, like $7, whatever it was. So I served, and then I was working in the back house because I knew that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I became the youngest kitchen manager in the company, youngest front of house manager in the company at 21 years old, being in charge of 40, 50 years old. But at the same time, I also came up in the restaurant industry with young people, and these were my friends. So I was hanging out with them outside of restaurant hours, which is a no-go when you're a leader in an organization,
Yeah, it's tough.
especially in the restaurant industry. And sure enough, did some stupid shit with a girl. My JVP of the whole industry found out about it, and I got fired.
Wow.
Right. So that was the next thing where I was like, man, I always wanted to make my parents proud. And that was my next thing, is to be a GM. But you know what was crazy? When I worked in that restaurant industry, there was a common theme that when I was working nights and weekends, the one thing that I was always jealous about, it's like, man, you know, I don't want to have to like work 11 up until 11 p.m. every single weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Like, I always wanted to have a family life. And when I saw families come in at 6 p.m. with their family and dinner, I was like, man, that's not possible, like, for the path that I'm trying to do. And New Year's Eves, which was crazy, in that franchise, you'd always have to count inventory on New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eves, dude, while the ball was dropping, I'm there counting inventory with my head down at the bar like, dude, this can't be the rest of my life. Like, but the reality was this. Is if it didn't happen to me where I gotten fired, I don't know. Maybe I would have, but like, I don't know that I would have ever like quit and pursued something else. So I felt like God was like, dude, I'm going to have to force you to be out of this industry because you have more.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you became a GM and you're making 6 figures a year and you're comfortable and you settle in. What do you?
Well, not only that, dude. It's like you don't. For a lot of these friends, you don't have a quality of life, dude.
No,
it's like holidays you're working, nights you're working. You can't have off. You know, people call out this, that, the other thing. It is crazy.
You ran a restaurant in San Diego for how long?
I ran a restaurant for 8 years. So
yeah.
Oh, in San Diego? No, I would have took that beating.
No, but it is funny. I've been back since then, and you know, you see a lot of the same people doing the same things. And now knowing what we know now in an industry, you'd be like, that's great, but I couldn't do it now. You know, like know what you know now.
And now, like, through my path, I've seen opportunities of people being investors in restaurants that you can also put your knowledge from what you know into it to where you don't have to be in it every single day and not have a quality of life with your family and stuff like that. So anyway, got fired from there. Then I was like, all right, shit, what am I going to do now? And then at that time, I got into the pizza business through a specific relationship.
Understood.
And then I was like, all right, maybe through one of my other hustles, maybe I just want to open up pizzerias. And then I was like, okay, so I got into first I immediately, because I needed to, and it's, you know what's crazy too, man? It's like when I got fired from that job, right? I had friends who worked in companies, right? And it's always like, man, when you need people to show up for you, it's crazy how like nobody comes through, right? And that's why I never wanted to be in a position to where I needed people. But it was just like within that phase, and again, I believe now that that's God. Like, I was trying to get in Home Depot, right? And dude, like, you know, I had incredible talent. But for some reason, right, it was like, oh, they weren't hiring at that time, right? When I was like, that's fucking crazy because I could kill it. And like, I knew how good I was.
Yeah.
But there was a reason why they weren't hiring at that time. And I know the reason why now. God was like, no, this is not you, right? Like, I'm not going to put you on that path now because this is not you. And I'm not going to let you get hired there. So next thing you know, I work at a place called Maggiano's. And it just opened at the Morristown Mall or Cherry Hill Mall, and I get a serving job there, right? I'm like, I got to start making money somehow. And sure enough, I'm making more money there than I was managing a restaurant, dealing with all the bullshit, all the headache, working 80 hours a week. It's amazing how being an employee, you make more money than the managers at some of these places.
Yeah.
Flexibility.
But the only reason, a lot of times, the only reason why you do this manager stuff is to eventually get a GM job, you know? So there's, for most times and most people, it's just a stepping stone. So you just got to deal with the grind of the BS until you get that spot. Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Sorry, just getting a phone call.
No, all good. So then I was like, all right, got a job at Maggiano's. Now at this point, I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do. And then at the same time, I got involved with the pizzeria business and then left Maggiano's to go full steam into the pizzeria business. But when I was at Maggiano's, there was a time when I started to get I was like, you know what? I'm sitting there at the bar and I'm watching TV, and sure enough, the $1 Million Listing Show was on, right? And I'm always like thinking about, I saw these business guys sitting at the bar, you know, hosting events in the banquet hall at Maggiano's. And I was like, like deep down, I want to be one of these business guys. Like, I know the potential I have. I know the hustle I have. I know I just got to figure out, like, where do I do this? Like, where, like, what field, what career, like, where do I leverage my hustle and my mindset and, you know, the skill set that I have? And I looked up on TV and I see this $1 million listing show. I'm like, man, these people don't need college degrees. See these fancy cars. They're showing houses. Like, this is incredible. Like, I would love to make money helping people buy homes. Homes are beautiful a lot of the time. You know what I mean? It's like, this is not a business that it's not like I'm selling uniforms here.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, you know what? Let me go down this path. Got my real estate license. And the time I got my real estate license was when I went full steam ahead into the pizzeria business. So my first year, I got licensed in real estate. I was running a pizzeria, and I also had a clothing line in Philadelphia with an artist named Taki.
Dude's going ham.
I'm like, I can't keep up.
I know, dude. This guy's going.
This is year one. So
This is.
well, at this point, I was leveraging. I realized that I need to leverage social media heavy.
Yeah.
Right. Because
What year was this? Yeah.
It's important.
2011, I think.
Okay, so this
That's
is
a
like
long time ago
2011,
to have that
2012.
realization.
2012.
So like you're on MySpace, really?
Facebook.
Yeah. Like
No,
Facebook?
this is after MySpace.
What the fuck was MySpace, dude? I was like, you have to realize. All right, don't be giggling over there.
Devin?
What?
How old are you?
36.
Okay, so you're a couple
So
years older than
when
me.
was MySpace?
Your time frame is hilarious, but
No, I mean MySpace was what, like 06 through like 10, 2010.
Maybe MySpace wasn't too far off from the time I was
but it was
using
like
Facebook.
It was like Facebook. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Facebook popped off like when I was in college, which was 2007, 6, 5,
Okay. Okay.
somewhere around there.
All right. So my bad. All right. Jesus Christ, dude.
MySpace.
But go ahead, Facebook. You're on Facebook.
It's
Sorry, my
very
bad.
early on for you to have that realization that
I realized that as I was full time running this pizzeria and doing all this other stuff, I'm like, man, how could I get my name out there to start doing some real estate business? And that's what I was doing. I was leveraging Facebook for, I was signing contracts by the pizza oven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fucking just getting it done. And my first year, closed 12 deals. And my goal though was I was like, all right, the next phase of this pizzeria business is to get my own, because I was in it with partners. And one of the partners that I was looking for mentors, and this guy owned like 20 pizzerias, and one of them, he was like, look, I want you to go down to my one in the Comcast Center all the way at the bottom, and if you like it, you can invest, and this could be your first one. I'm sitting there calling my mom, like, Mom, I was like, always wanted to share with my parents what I'm going to be doing, right?
Yeah.
Because I always got in trouble. I'm like, man, I always fucked up so many different ways. I'm like, there's going to be something to where I'm going to show you guys, like,
You could be proud of
I'm
it.
going to give
Yeah.
you a return on investment here. Excuse me. And I was like, all right, pizza. I was like, Mom, I'm going to own a pizzeria. So I went there. My buddy Dennis, I'll never forget, went to the bottom of the Comcast Center. I didn't give a shit what I saw down there, to be honest. Like, I just wanted to get a pizzeria. You know what I mean? Which was, again, young, dumb, like,
probably
whatever.
a vision of, hey, whatever it is now, I can make it awesome.
Yeah, and and I was just I obviously, the mentor that I had, he wouldn't put me in a shit location, but I was like, dude, yeah, I'm in. You just let me know what I need to do, where I need to put money, and this will be my first one. Fucking, whatever. So sure enough, we then realized that they wouldn't lease to a new business owner down there. So that went down the tubes. So then I was like, dude, so many times in my life, I wanted something and somebody could take it out of my hands. And I was like, you know what? Like, I need to do stuff. I need to do things, a business, a career, to where I can go all in and nobody can take this shit from me. My destiny is in my own hands. And that's when I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm going full time in real estate. So first year, I 12 deals, whatever, took that money and rehabbed a house in South Philly. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I have no money and I'm an all commission business.
Yeah.
Right. So then at that time, I had a friend of mine, actually Matt Yost, who was talking about, like, dude, my buddy Matt Potter's opening up insurance agencies all over. And he was like, dude, you should talk to him too, because he's opening up offices. Dude, it's going to blow up. And I was like, all right, well, right now, like, I'm in an all commission business, fucking year one. I need to start making money, and I do not want to go back to this restaurant, man. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I went back to the restaurant, right?
Okay.
Because I need to start fucking making money. and with my towel between my legs. I was like, "Oh, fuck you guys." I'm like, "I'm making it. I'm going into pizzeria business." Nope. And then, so then I went back to Maggiano's.
Yep.
Thankfully, they let me go back in there, serving, making money. And then I got my insurance license. And then I joined Matt when he was with Farmers. Stud. He was pretty much recruited all the offices in Pennsylvania and in Jersey and in this area. And then got a managing director job with Farmers. And it was like, you know, salary, right? And they typically in like corporate, it's like salary plus whatever for your car, allowance for your car. But at the end of the day, in reality, it comes down to you're bringing home, let's just say $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month, whatever. And then in the insurance, like when you got to a certain amount of policy sold, then you can break into commissions. So year one, I'm like, all right, I was like, I just need, like, it'd be cool making consistent income. And I had never been in a corporate setting. So I'm like, let me check this shit out. Right. So it was pretty cool. Worked out in Willow Grove the first year, hustling my ass off, doing what was, and I learned a lot from Matt. He's an incredible talent. And fast forward, he now owns his own insurance company with a guy named Matt Mullen. I can promise you within 10 years, we're going to see some type of NASDAQ exit to where it's sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. But
was he in one of the group? Did he come speak?
Yep.
At one of the, yeah, I think that was the first meeting I was part of, actually.
Yep. Yeah.
I listened to him speak. Yep.
So, started work for him and realized how he was running. And it's funny how everything happens for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. If you see it. And I started realizing how he ran the #1 sales team in all of Farmers, right? But for the first year, I'm sitting there hammering all these calls, calling leads. And like, again, it's like when you're being paid a salary and you're structured, it's like, you got to be at that desk. You got to be closing deals. Like there is no time or else you'll get fired. Plus it was my boy. I wanted to show him like, dude, I'm going to kick ass for you. Right. And for the first year, I'm sitting there doing this in insurance, making these calls, and my real estate business starts picking up and getting busier again. Right. And I'm doing both at the same time. And, you know, I had this realization. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting here making all these calls to close insurance policies and I'm still making the same. And I'm like, if I was doing the same shit for my real estate business, I could be making fucking $30,000 a month with the amount of things that I'm closing here.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, dude, like just, again, bet on yourself, like go in business for yourself. So I respected Matt. I said, Matt, listen, I was like, my real estate business is picking up. I do not want to be getting a salary from you and also doing real estate. Is there any way that I can figure out something to where I could still hold my license under you and I can still make money with insurance and I can go full time? And we figure out a way to do that. So then I was like, all right. And then that's when real estate never looked back. Right. And I tell this story a lot because, you know, so many times people come into this business and there's two lessons from this. People come into an all commission business and I want freedom. I want this, that, and the other thing, when you got to earn that, right? And you got to have the mindset of like, dude, if you're trying to make this, you are hiring yourself. You better be in the office, not 9 to 5, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. until you're making enough. Like you got to hold yourself accountable to be at that desk making calls. This is not like, oh, I'm my own boss. And so, which is why 87% of realtors don't make it. They don't treat it like they're in a 9 to 5 and they're hired from a corporate company and they got to be at that desk making calls, doing lead gen every day to bring in policies or else they're going to be fired.
Yeah. It's like, why would you do that for some multi-billion-dollar corporation, not yourself? It's like, just show up for yourself, go to your desk, do the work. We're in the office.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for them, you might as well do it for yourself.
We're in the office 5 days a week. We all work weekends. There's no day off in this business, you know.
Taking calls on the way home.
Oh, for sure. You know, so it's like you said, it's 5 to 9. It's not a 9 to 5 job, and unless you're willing to do that, it's not going to turn into anything for you. And I realized that very early on. I think we all did. I think Tom, the owner of our company, did a very good job at explaining to us like, this is what you make it. And it's like, if you want to make it something, we're all here every day. So it's kind of what
in
it is.
sales, I remember Ryan Stewman always said, it's like, he was like, I will never take a job that gives me a salary because in sales, like I can bet on myself that I'll write my own checks because I will do what it takes to close deals and make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, went all in on real estate. At this time I was living in South Philly, with my wife. At that time was my girlfriend. Then we got engaged. She was in X-ray school. Then she was an X-ray technician. And then as she was, you know, going to Concentra, doing her gig, you know, she was sitting there watching me and, you know, I'm busting my ass, but she also doesn't see me have to answer to a boss. She also sees me like control my day, not have to deal with the bullshit of corporate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I never, ever once mentioned anything about real estate. And then she was like, you know what? Like, I obviously see firsthand the work, the consistent work day in and day out that you're putting in, but like, I would want to do this. And I was like, all right. And, you know, when it comes to like even there was a time when my brother and sister worked for me. Like when it comes to family or relatives, I am fucking way harder than them than anybody in the world.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. So even my own fiance at that time, because I wanted her to be, I was like, babe, listen, like this ain't like, you know, I was like, this is what you got to do, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I always say, sure enough, her first sale was when she visited with a fruit tray, one of her hair salons, and it turned into 3 deals.
Yep.
Right? Going and what? I have a whole customized game plan on how people can grow a business. That I learned a lot of it from work with Matt Potter, how he structured like metrics on how salespeople did business. And one of those is business drop-offs. She ran the play immediately, right, after she got licensed. And one of her first deals was a fruit tray business drop-off to a hair salon that she worked at.
Yep.
Right? So she got into that business. Next thing you know, we started working together. Then I'm trying to think of how that timeline went. We got married, then we moved to Jersey. And then a long time ago, I've always kept up with and, you know, remained friends with somebody who was passed recently on your podcast, Tom Wenger. And I met him through a friend that, I don't know, maybe they went to the same school. I don't even know. But we seen each other in Philly, whether it was the Phillies games and all that shit. We became friends. I had a shore house in Seattle in 2011. And Tom and his buddy Ryan are always together, and they were always with, like, I would call them the Philly guys, right? So whenever I went to, you know, I lived in Jersey, but there was like a group, the Philly guys, that we used to go hang out, and it was Billy Calhoun's friends.
Okay.
And Billy eventually got pissed off at me because I became friends with them all, and he's a fucking sissy. And I hope he hears this one day. And then he hated me because I was friends with them all after. I don't know why. Anyway, we had a house down in Sea Isle, and, you know, him and Ryan were always doing investment properties. I'm like, man, this is fucking cool. Like, this is intriguing, right? And these dudes were young. Like, all these, you know, we're all fucking around drinking.
He actually brought this up on our podcast about how you used to come by with beer and be like, hey, what's going on, guys? And just want to learn what they're doing.
Well, dude, this was in 2011. And, you know, at this time, I was nowhere near the Devin I was now. I was a fucking savage animal. But when we used to be in, but like we were,
I love it.
You know, like we were down in Sea Isle to fucking, you know, we always, you know, we made money, worked or whatever. But like these guys would come down and they're like, yeah, we were just fixing up a rental property. And then they would come hang out. I was like, that's fucking cool. Because there was always something in my mind, like the hustle intrigued me way more than just fucking around.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I was always drawn to that. And then I was always like, and then they were rehabbing houses. So I was like, dude, I want to come see what the fuck you guys are doing. So then I went and brought a case of Coors Light, watch them, and they just keep doing it. And sure enough, later on, like again, everything happens for a reason. Fast forward, I get into real estate, and me and Tom always stayed connected. And then he was at a point to where he's like, I want to jump and do this shit full time. And I'm like, dude, like, do it, like, come on, let's do it together. And then we joined the Washington Township group in a office in Keller Williams. That was when I made the switch from Long Foster to Keller Williams. And then that's when it kind of like started. So that was me, Brittany, and Tom. And then it was like, all right. Then we started a slow build from there, and then we were getting a lot of momentum. And then I noticed the condo shop made a big merge with Keller Williams. Hold on, I'm trying to think when this timeline was. Sorry, no, I lied. That was the reason why I went over to Keller Williams was because I was connected with a guy named Gararv when I saw the condo shop made the switch to Keller Williams, because I had a great mentor, stuff like that, but it was with Long and Foster, and it was just a stale office, and it was like, it wasn't, I had a bigger vision for what I wanted to do, and it wasn't with that company. Mm-hmm. And at the time, my mentor, who I love to death, he's like a big brother to me, he wasn't changing, and I knew that where I wanted to go, it wasn't happening there. And then that was like the big thing when I saw the condo shops, which is a massive name in Philadelphia, merged to Keller Williams. Then a friend of mine, Ken Weller, was like, dude, you got to connect with Gararv. Then that's when I made that move over to Jersey or over to Keller Williams. But I still, we still stayed our team. And then Gaurav then approached us as we were building our name. It was like, hey guys, listen, we want to start making this a national brand. We need partners. We would love to talk to you guys about, you guys partner with us and being TCS Group New Jersey. And that's how like the merge with from our, team that we were building, that's how the merge happened with TCS Group New Jersey and TCS Group Philadelphia. That's continuing to evolve.
Yeah, got you. That makes okay, interesting.
And
so
there's still more things within there
for sure. And
that I'm probably missing. But
and how many agents are you guys up to now? I mean, I know you run.
So on the New Jersey side, maybe like 17 around there. Plus we have a good handful of other ones that are going to be joining that we'll make announcements for probably within the next month or so.
That's killer, man. Yeah, I mean, you've starting from just you and your fiance to 17 agents you now like are overseeing and working with and doing stuff. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, but you don't like, you just don't like, you don't know. Like when you do it, like as long as you have the mindset of like, dude, I just want to keep finding ways to get better.
Yeah.
Right. And you go on this path, 5 years from now, who knows, how many people, and all you got to know is, man, is if I just keep down the path and figure shit out and always want to get better, like always want to get better and always want to surround myself with the right people. Yeah. And collectively, it's not like the people that I surround myself with, like it's got to be where like I always want to feel like I'm like I'm adding value to their life. And most importantly, like, it's always got to be a win-win because I never want it to ever be, hey, I'm with Devin and it's like, dude's an asshole. It's like a fucking one-way relationship. Never want to have to deal with that.
Yeah. So
I always want to, if I can attract the right people, then the journey just keeps getting funner. We all win together. And, like we started in Washington Township in like a fucking storage room. It was me, Tom, Brittany, and Andy.
We heard that story. I love that.
And then it's just like, you just don't know. Like we didn't even think at that time to do a partnership with the condo shops.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, there's ideas and thoughts and now we have things, again, you don't know right now in concrete, but there's shore expansion. There's that, because we're attracting more great people with big visions and have great names, great talent. And it's just, you never know where that can take you. But as long as you have to surround yourself with people who think big.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And then it's just no telling. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah, because if you don't, then you're not. I think the more you think about something, the more it becomes actions in your life. And it's something that you start doing, right? It's like, I don't personally believe in like I don't think manifesting is like this like magical thing. But I think it's real in the fact that if you write something down and this is all you think about, you're going to manifest that your life starts surrounding that idea of, hey, I want to be a multimillionaire in real estate. So then you start doing things that are going to make you that. If you constantly think about it and you constantly talk about it, you're going to start hanging out with the realtors. You're going to start meeting bigger agents. You're going to start doing more deals. And that's what helps you grow it. I don't think it's like necessarily like, oh, I manifested this from my star sign and my zodiac signs or whatever. But it's like there's a truth to it because the more you think about something, the more it becomes your actions and what you do. So
everybody always wants to have it figured out, and they don't want to take the first step unless they have the path laid out. And that's the fun part of life, business, the game of business, man. As long as you're always challenging yourself to get better and always trying to find ways to surround yourself with talent, attract talent, want to be enough of a value that people want to be in business with you, right? Like the reality is this, dude, like there ain't a thing that I'm doing right now that I could do by myself.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's just the reality. Like the growth of our company, it could never be done with just me. Everything, like you got to surround yourself with talent, like the Tom, the Brittany, the Andy, like everybody plays an influential part in why people love being in business with us, why more people, like we have people within our organization that aren't there because of me, because of Tom, because of, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's why it's just, if that doesn't happen, if you surround yourself with assholes though.
Yeah.
If you surround yourself with assholes, guess who you're going to attract? More assholes. And then next thing you know, you're going to look up, I fucking hate this business. You know what I mean? Like everybody's selfish, everybody's greedy, nobody's ever happy, you name it. And it's because, well, dude, look at who you attract. Look who you even decided to be in business with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you just don't know. You just got to keep going and keep challenging growth and keep trying to personally get better yourself. So, like, dude, if I stop my personal development journey, like, I am never content enough to know that, like, all right, like, everybody's just going to stay in my life. That's it. Yeah. You know, my partners, my it's like, I don't need to do anything else. And so many people operate that way. Like, I'm always challenging myself. I need to always get better because I always want everybody around me thinking like they always, all right, he's challenging me here. He's like, you know what I mean?
It makes them want to stay in your life more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're challenging these people and you're surrounding yourself with better people, and they see that and they're like, hey, I want to be a part of Devin's life, instead of you going, they're sending me business, or I have a network connection here. Maybe I'll call them in like 2 years if I need something.
But I always have to also, and it goes back, you know, it's crazy. It goes back to the first lesson that I learned a long time ago. Everybody's replaceable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I don't also continue to push the envelope, like, I have so many talented partners who have big visions for their life and their future. And I definitely don't fucking help it with the shit that I talk every day to get people to think bigger. Right. Mm-hmm. So I have to make sure that I'm always trying to find ways to cast a vision that inspires them, to create more opportunities, you know what I mean, that can always show them that, hey, man, like, together we're going to do this, and I can see together, like, there's always a new vision. There's always another opportunity, because the minute you're just only worried about yourself and it's like, I'm good, then guess what? Everybody starts falling out of your life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a fucking sad truth that nobody wants to acknowledge, but you see it all the time, man. And that's why it all goes back to your commitment to your personal development.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're committed to personal development, you're always committed to growth. And if you're always committed to growth, you're always creating a world and a vision big enough to inspire more and more talent to want to be around you.
Yeah.
You know?
Makes sense. I mean, we're both big on that. You do CrossFit every morning, you work out, you take care of yourself. I mean, no, it's the truth though. It's like, it's funny. It's
fucking CrossFit guys.
I know, dude, you fucking big guy over there in the corner too, right?
Our next podcast will just be all about CrossFit.
Well, it probably is going to be, actually. But in all seriousness though, it's like Rory cares so much. I look up to him in a way, like, it's family first. I'm taking care of myself and my people first, and I'm working on myself and just being a better human being in general. And you've always taught me, like, hey man, you know, comparison is a thief of joy. All these like, these fun things that you like busting my balls about. But it's the truth though, and it made me realize, like, hey, if I focus on myself more, and I take this like part of materialism and all this shit out of my life, it makes me realize, like, hey, I could be a much better person to other people, who then therefore are going to go to other people and say, hey, Mike's a really good guy, blah, 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 blah. And it just made me a better person in general. So, I mean, I credit them a lot for that too, that just making me the way I am today.
Because that's the separator, man. It's like, you know, in anything, let's just say real estate, right? It's like, dude, you know, every company's probably saying the same shit, whatever, like, we'll help you with this, we'll help you with that. We can get you leads, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
But I always remember this line from a guy named John Cheplack. He goes, the one model that never fails is the leadership model, right? If you can continue to find ways to transform humans, right? That's something that not many leaders can do. If you can transform mindsets, if you can help people at a next level on their personal development, well, we all know that that's gonna go right into their business.
Yep.
Right. But it's like, at the end of the day, it makes them a better husband, makes them a better wife, better father. And there's so many people that I'm attracting to be in business with. And the crazy thing is, it's not because of, let me help you sell this fucking house.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's a lot of it comes from like the content that I put out there, my brand, the mindset to, like, you know what, dude, like, I kind of want to be in an environment that values health and fitness, personal development, bigger vision, you know, like
this is who I actually am, and people want to work with you because of that, not because you're
like the business stuff is going to fall in line. Of course, do we need to know skill sets and how to train people and how to take all this skill set and implement it to their business? Absolutely. But the reality is, like, a million other fucking real estate brokers can do the same shit.
For sure.
You know, so, but none of that happens if I'm not consistently making an effort into my personal development, because you fly off the handle so much quicker. You're not inspired. You're not motivated. You don't want to grow even more. You want to stay stagnant. And, you know, when you get talent around you, if you're just content, you know what I mean? Like, when you rest, you rust, right? Yeah. It's like, and the unfortunately, it's like, again, I love him to death, but my old, really good friend, it just like, that's where I felt like that he was. And it was just like, man, like, no, I
need more
to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes that has to happen. You can still be friends with them, but
absolutely.
Can't be around them as much. But I don't know. Do you want to touch on anything else? You got questions or anything? Or
for a couple episodes in a row, we did quotes, and you said something in the very beginning about a quote about connecting the dots, future versus the past. And I think eventually, when we end this, whether it's now or in a minute or two, I think you should reiterate that because I think it was a very cool quote.
Yeah, so I got that from I'm a personal development junkie, dude. I've fucking listened to commencement speeches. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
And if you haven't listened to this yet, I would strongly suggest to listen to Steve Jobs' commencement speech at Stanford. I think it was Stanford, right?
Okay. Yeah, probably. I think
either Stanford or Harvard, one of them. Maybe Harvard. It was incredible, and he tells his whole life story. It's crazy, dude, how powerful it is. But he was like, you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards, and just know that you gotta bet on faith. You gotta bet on just continuing to be on that journey of, Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying. Growth equals happiness, right? I mean, it even happens with the billionaires. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like, man, when the money don't fulfill, like you can't, these guys who sell a company and retire, everybody always thinks like retirement, like people, like so many people relate work to, oh my gosh, that's such a bad thing. Like so many people I know, like they don't want retire. It's like, I'm not happy sitting on a beach for 7 days a week.
Oh, no.
That's not living to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, that's like fucking torture, like I am happy when I'm producing, when I'm growing, when I'm achieving, when I'm helping others, like when I'm in motion.
Yeah.
And
movement is life, man. If you're not moving, you're dying. So
So anyway, that's the Steve Jobs commencement speech for anybody who is listening to this now in the future. I would highly suggest listening.
We'll have to find a clip of that and post it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
dude, it's incredible, man.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool quote, a very powerful quote, and we were doing quotes for a little bit. When the time is right, we'll throw a quote up at the end, and I thought you said that in the beginning. I was like, boom.
Perfect, yeah.
So I'll cap it off at this. As we talk about this personal development journey, this is exactly how I got into my passion, the thing that I believe God put me down here on earth for, and that's human development, coaching, and like helping people see a greater version of themselves and go out and chase that greater version of themselves, get them out of their own way. And what I've learned as I started in the real estate business, I came across an Eric Thomas YouTube video as I was looking for music in the gym. And then I listened to that and I was like, holy shit, I am more fired up than I am, more inspired than I've ever been in my life. And then I've operated just as a different human being. And then I went down this personal development journey a long time ago, and then realized that the more I invested in my personal development, the better my business got. Then I started creating, then I learned about coaching. Then I learned about like how much most people stop coaching when they leave sports, but the number one sport in the world is business, right? And people hiring coaches is very uncommon, right? And then when they get a little taste of that, especially performance coaches, they're like, holy shit, man. Like, I can definitely relate, because when I was performing at my best and challenging my best is when I had a coach in high school, in college, whatever that is. Why do I think it's different in business? Well, because you're not exposed to it and you're not taught that, right? So I've learned that the more I made of a commitment to personal development, the better my business got. And then I learned about the world of coaching. Then I hired the best coaches in the world. And then I just went all the way down that path. And the one thing that helped me grow in my life was every time I saw somebody doing life at a high level, I always wanted to, like I was working in the kitchen for free. Well, what do I got to do to expedite this? And I wasn't never really exposed to people that were millionaires. Every time I ran into one, I was like, man, could I buy a lunch? Could I learn from you? Whatever it took to get a piece of advice from them, that's what I did. And I was always, contributing a lot of my success in business to networking at the same time, right? But I was like, man, there has to be a way to marry networking to personal development and also learning from the greatest entrepreneurs in the world, right? And that's where the idea of the harvest came. right? And then that's where, and you know, it was kind of right when COVID happened too, to where I saw people on Zooms and, you know, these Zoom network, it was like all like fucking stale. It was like people come in, what is it that you do? And I was, there's gotta be a better way. Even with networking too, man. It's like, I love networking, I value it, but there's got to be something greater than this, right? So how do we tie in networking with education and personal development, right? People that want to get mentally, physically fit, they always want to learn and implement and continue to expand their business, grow their business, learn from the top entrepreneurs in the country, and also network and have community and build relationships with people at the same time. And that's what the Harvest is, right? So that's when I created the Harvest community, because I know how much personal development and education and mentorship changed my life, and community, being around the right people, changed my life. And that's when the Harvest was born. And that's the idea behind it. So that outside of the real estate world, and by the way, the Harvest also spills over into my other businesses too, because it just attracts people that I want to be around.
Sure.
And man, like when you think about what the Harvest is about, if somebody's attracted to that, well, that's somebody that I want to be in business with too. Yeah. That's somebody that I want to hire too. You know what I mean? Somebody that values getting better mentally, physically, spiritually. How do I get better at business, right? White belt mentality of always wanting to learn. They're the people that I want to consistently be around. So that's when the Harvest Performance Growth Community was born, which is it's an online community. We do virtual calls every Wednesday from 7 to 8 a.m. I bring in entrepreneurs from all across the world to come in and speak. And I also do a live event at the end of every month. So we have the best of both worlds, having a virtual setting and